we've talked about your expo and Camp Veg Source. All of those programs do take some money to get there, and I think there's a lot of people out there that perhaps don't have the money but still want the information. So how are you addressing that?
Well, that's interesting because some years ago, my wife was saying exactly that. You know, how do we get this message to people that can't afford to fly in and see these experts? It would be great to do that. So we actually have a nonprofit foundation called EarthSave that I run, and we created a program called Meals for Health. My sister works in a food bank and her husband in Sacramento, California, so we took the first one into this food bank. Not knowing what to expect, we asked people who are interested in getting healthier, losing weight, to sign up and be in the program. And we had initially in the first run maybe 30 families do it. We brought in experts, everyone volunteers, no one gets paid. We provide them with food for a month. We give them the recipes, we give them the information, which is the most important part. It kicks off with a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. The food is we provide all the meals for the week, so they start doing that. And by Monday, people are already feeling better because these are populations that are eating maybe really some of the worst fast food, and they've got a lot of health challenges.
And these people are overweight.
They're overweight,
Yeah,
they've got
obese.
type 2 diabetes, they've got heart disease, they've got, you know, all the standard problems, autoimmune diseases that you see in any population. And so they agree to do this and to do their best to follow it. We try and take away all the excuses by providing the food, providing support. We have food coaches. We have medical care, so they all get physicals and they are seeing a doctor throughout the program.
Fantastic.
And what we have found is that people get off their medications in a very short period of time. Medications they were told they're going to have to take the rest of their life. Blood pressure medication, autoimmune diseases respond extremely favorably.
Which is close to your heart.
Which we know from our own experience. And a lot of people who sort of initially signed up, we didn't know, how it was going to go, would they do it? And they weren't sure themselves about when they heard it was a plant-based only, they were thinking, I don't know if I'm going to follow through on this.
How can I give up the sausage?
But the fact is we had 100% compliance. We had people saying, wow, when I felt so much better, I just realized, hey, this is real.
So how
we
long
prove
ago was
it
that?
to them. The first program was about 3 years ago.
And are they still following up on that? Donna?
We are, yeah. And we had one last year in an African-American church in Oakland, California. Same results. And following up on that, we find very high compliance over a year later. People, because once you prove to people that, hey, you don't have to be sick. You don't have to take these drugs that have side effects that you don't like. You can get control of your health through your diet. You've proven it to them. You don't have to sell them. And people come to you and say, "Well, thank you. Thank you for getting me well." And I just tell them, we didn't do that. You did that. You just learned about diet, changed your diet, and you got a great result.
Well, that is a sensational message. We've covered Camp Veg Source, we've covered the Lifestyle Expo and your free non-profit Meals for Health program, which is amazing. And when I hear it, I feel so passionate about it. When Jim and I make these videos, sometimes I question, what am I doing this for? Can I make a difference? And we're here on Kauai and the obesity level is just enormous, and we think, how can we get this message out there? Can we just inspire one person? And here you are out there with this global message, which is huge, making a difference. So I get really excited about that.
Well, I think you guys are making a big difference, not just one here and there, truly. But it is gratifying when people contact you and tell you their story and say, wow, I read this, I tried that, I bought the book, and now I'm better, I'm off my meds. That's, you feel like, wow, and that it works, and you're happy to see. Now, I think we are reaching a tipping point at some point where more people get this information. You see Bill Clinton on TV talking about reversing his heart disease. Sanjay Gupta does a 1-hour CNN special, and I know that a lot of people are changing their diet as the media picks this up and more celebrated people do it. We were talking about Camp Veg Source. We had one couple who came in early to the camp, so my wife and I went to pick them up at the airport because we were in early too, and we didn't know who they were. We didn't know, they'd never ordered anything from us or been to our conference, so I asked them in the car, geez, how do you know us? How did you hear about Camp Veg Source, and the woman said, oh, well, 4 years ago when I was diagnosed with relapsing polychondritis, is the same disease my wife, she said, I went on the internet and I found your wife's information and that she'd gone vegan and put it in remission, and she said, you know, that's for me. She went vegan and she put it in remission too. Wow. So I just kind of goosebumps as I was hearing this driving. Oh my goodness, here's a living example of somebody who got this information and it saved her life, probably.
Jeff, if we want to simplify this, like, we've put a lot of information out here today, and for this, that one person that's going to see it, that's fantastic. But let's not complicate this, because it's not a complicated message.
Right.
The message is change your diet. It's about changing your food, isn't it? Like,
it is. It's about the food.
It's about the food.
100% about the food. It's about the food.
We can do all these expos and all these camps and all the internets and all the websites and all the videos, but the message today is change the choice. When you go to eat, everybody's going to eat.
Right.
Just select. It's just selection, isn't it? You go fruit.
And you know, today we live in an even more toxic food environment than when I was growing up. There's so much food that's kind of fake food out there that's been loaded with salt and sugar and chemicals and fat and who knows what, and intentionally. You know, they're to David Kessler, the former FDA chair, has a brilliant book about this. How they're finding the bliss point to get you to eat more, and they're doing studies. And so, you know, you're playing into the marketing, you don't know it, but you're sacrificing your health when you're not paying attention.
We're here to tell people,
pay attention.
This is what's happening.